Snow had a way of making the world quieter. It covered the streets, the rooftops, the parked cars, even the chaos inside people. Or at least, that's what I used to believe. Until the night I saw Elena Morgan standing under a streetlight, snowflakes melting in her dark hair while her eyes stayed locked on mine like I was the only thing in the world worth looking at. And suddenly, nothing felt quiet anymore. My name is Claire. 26. A photographer. Someone who believed in capturing emotions through a lens rather than actually feeling them. Life was easier that way. Safer. No attachments. No broken promises. No messy endings. But Elena. She made safe feel boring. The cafe was warm when I walked in. Soft jazz played in the background. The scent of cinnamon coffee filled the air. And then, I saw her. Sitting near the window. Black sweater. Long fingers wrapped around a coffee mug. Snow falling behind her like some cinematic scene made just to ruin my peace. She looked up. And our eyes met. My breath caught. Because Elena didn't just look at people. She studied them. Like she could see every secret you'd buried. Like she already knew exactly what made your pulse race. Her lips curved slightly. Not a smile. Something more dangerous than that. An invitation. I should have looked away. I didn't. Instead, I walked toward her. Every step felt heavier. Every heartbeat louder. Late again, she said softly. God. Her voice. Deep. Smooth. Warm enough to melt the winter outside. I slid into the seat across from her. You've been counting? She leaned forward. Close enough for me to smell her perfume. Vanilla. Wood. Something addictive. I always count when I'm waiting for someone important. My throat went dry. And she noticed. Of course she noticed. Her fingers slowly traced the edge of her coffee cup while her eyes stayed on mine. Intense. Unapologetic. The kind of eye contact that makes your skin feel too tight. You're staring, I whispered. She smiled. And you're blushing. I looked away instantly. Her laugh was soft. Low. Dangerously beautiful. Then, I felt it. Her fingers brushing mine across the table. A simple touch. But my entire body reacted like electricity. She didn't move away. Neither did I. Instead, her fingers slowly intertwined with mine. Warm. Steady. Possessive. And suddenly, breathing felt harder than it should. Outside, snow kept falling. Inside, everything between us kept heating up. Come with me, she whispered. Where? She stood up. Still holding my hand. Her thumb brushing softly against my skin. Somewhere you'll stop pretending you don't want me. My heartbeat nearly stopped. Snow fell harder as we stepped outside. The city lights reflected against the white streets. Cold air surrounded us. But Elena pulled me closer. So close that I could feel her breath against my lips. My heart pounded. Her forehead touched mine. Neither of us moved. Neither of us looked away. Her fingers slowly moved up, resting gently against my jaw, tilting my face toward hers. Tell me to stop, she whispered. But instead, my hands grabbed her coat, pulled her closer. And when our lips finally met, soft, slow, then deeper. It felt like every sleepless night, every stolen glance, every unspoken thought had been waiting for this exact moment. Snow melted in her hair. My fingers trembled. And Elena smiled against my lips like she already knew. This was only the beginning. Snow crunched softly beneath our feet. But I barely heard it. Because Elena's lips were still inches from mine. And my heartbeat was so loud it drowned out everything else. Her fingers stayed gently wrapped around my jaw, her thumb brushing slowly across my skin. That tiny touch alone was enough to make my knees feel weak. She looked into my eyes again. Deeply. Intensely. Like she was memorizing every reaction, every breath, every little shiver running through me. Why are you shaking? She whispered. A small smile played on her lips. I swallowed hard. It's cold. Her eyes darkened slightly. No. She leaned closer. Softly. It's me. God. The confidence in her voice. The way she said it like a fact. And worst of all, she was right. Before I could say anything, her fingers slid from my jaw to the back of my neck, pulling me just a little closer. My breath caught instantly. Snowflakes landed in her hair, melting slowly. And somehow, she looked even more dangerous. Even more beautiful. Elena. My voice barely came out as a whisper. Her lips curved. Say my name again. The way she said it sent warmth through my entire body. Elena. This time softer. More vulnerable. Her eyes flickered to my lips. And I saw it. That hunger. That restraint. Like she was trying so hard to stay in control. But didn't want to. Her forehead rested against mine again. Our breaths mixed in the cold night air. You have no idea what you do to me, she murmured. My fingers tightened against her coat. And then, she kissed me again. This time slower. Deeper. Her hand moved gently to my waist, pulling me closer until there wasn't even an inch between us. I could feel her heartbeat. Fast. Heavy. Matching mine. Every kiss felt different. The first one was curiosity. This one felt like need. Her lips moved with patience. Like she wanted to take her time learning every part of me. My fingers found their way into her hair, and the soft sound that escaped her lips nearly destroyed what little control I had left. When we finally pulled apart, neither of us said anything. We just stood there, breathing hard, looking at each other like we were both realizing this had gone far beyond flirting, far beyond stolen glances. Her thumb brushed softly across my lower lip. And the way she looked at me after that, it almost felt possessive. You're dangerous, I whispered. Elena smiled slowly. No. She leaned in, her lips brushing lightly near my ear. You're just finally letting yourself feel something. And honestly, that scared me more than anything. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't want to run. I wanted more. Snow kept falling around us. But neither of us moved. Because sometimes, one kiss changes everything. And ours already had. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. Snow kept falling around us in complete silence, landing softly on Elena's dark hair, on my coat, on our joined hands. But all I could focus on was her. The way her fingers were still resting against my waist. The way her thumb moved slowly, absent-mindedly, like even touching me had become natural for her. And those eyes. God. Those eyes. She looked at me like I was something precious. Something she had wanted for far too long. Elena. I whispered her name again. And I swear, something changed in her expression. Her jaw tightened slightly. Her breathing grew heavier. Like hearing her name from my lips did something dangerous to her. She stepped even closer. So close our bodies were almost completely pressed together. My heartbeat instantly lost control. Do you know how hard it is? She said softly, her voice deeper now, to stand this close to you and still act normal? My breath hitched. I tried speaking. Tried saying something clever. But all I managed was, then stop pretending. Her eyes darkened instantly. And the small smile on her lips. It was devastating. Careful, Claire. She leaned closer, her lips barely brushing the corner of my mouth. You have no idea what those words do to me. A shiver ran through my body. Not because of the snow. Not because of the cold. Because of her. Because every word she spoke felt like a slow fire under my skin. Her fingers slowly moved up my arm, leaving goosebumps everywhere they touched. She studied my face carefully, like she was reading every emotion, every nervous breath, every silent confession I wasn't brave enough to say out loud. Tell me something, she whispered. I swallowed hard. What? Her forehead rested gently against mine again. Have you been thinking about me? A pause. Her fingers tilted my chin up slightly. The way I've been thinking about you? My pulse pounded so hard it almost hurt. Because the truth was, yes. Late nights. Sleepless thoughts. Imagining her smile. Her voice. Her touch. Every stolen glance. Every accidental brush of fingers. Every second. And somehow, she already knew. A soft smile touched her lips. That's what I thought. Before I could answer, her lips found mine again. Slowly. Softly. But somehow even deeper than before. One hand slid gently into my hair while the other stayed firmly on my waist, pulling me impossibly closer. My fingers grabbed onto her coat instantly, and when I softly kissed her back, I felt her smile against my lips, like she'd been waiting for me to stop holding back. When we finally pulled apart, our breaths mixed in the freezing air, neither of us speaking, neither of us looking away. And then Elena whispered something that made my heart completely surrender. "Come with me." I looked into her eyes. "Where?" Her fingers intertwined with mine again, and her smile turned softer. "Anywhere." A small pause. "As long as it's with you." And in that moment, standing beneath falling snow, wrapped in her warmth, I realized this wasn't just attraction anymore. This was becoming something far more dangerous. Something neither of us would ever be able to walk away from. "Elena." My voice came out softer than I expected, almost breathless. She smiled when she heard her name again, like it meant something deeper coming from me. Like every time I said it, a part of her lost control. Snow continued falling around us, melting slowly on our coats while neither of us moved. Her hands stayed wrapped around my waist, holding me close, close enough to feel her heartbeat. And somehow, it was just as fast as mine. A small smile touched my lips. "You're nervous too." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Me?" I nodded softly. Her lips curved into that dangerous little smirk again. Then she leaned closer, her lips brushing softly near my ear. "You're the only person who's ever made me nervous." My entire body shivered. Not because of winter. Because of her. Because Elena Morgan, confident, calm, impossible to read Elena, was looking at me like I was her weakness. And God, that did something to me. My fingers slowly moved into her hair, brushing away snowflakes that had landed there. For the first time, her expression softened completely. No teasing. No games. Just warmth. Just her. She closed her eyes for a second, leaning slightly into my touch. And when she opened them again, the way she looked at me made my heart completely melt. "You have no idea," she whispered, "how long I've wanted this." I swallowed hard. "How long?" Her fingers gently tilted my chin up. "Long enough to memorize the way your eyes look when you're trying not to blush." My cheeks instantly warmed. She laughed softly. That low, addictive laugh. And, before I could hide my face, she kissed me again. Slowly. Tenderly. Like this kiss wasn't about passion. It was about wanting. About finally having something you'd been dreaming about for too long. My hands wrapped around her neck instinctively, pulling her even closer. "And Elena." She smiled softly against my lips, as if she loved that I was finally letting myself need her too. When we pulled apart, our foreheads stayed pressed together. Both of us breathing harder. Both of us smiling. Then she whispered, "Come home with me tonight." I looked into her eyes. And for the first time, instead of fear, all I felt was excitement. And maybe something even more dangerous. Something that felt a lot like falling in love. The entire drive to Elena's place, neither of us said much. Not because there was nothing to say, but because every time our eyes met, words became unnecessary. Snow continued falling outside while Elena's fingers stayed intertwined with mine the whole way, her thumb brushing softly across my skin. Slowly, absent-mindedly, like touching me had already become her favorite habit. When we finally reached her apartment, Elena unlocked the door and looked back at me. That same intense look. That same look that always made my heartbeat lose control. "Come in," she whispered. The warmth inside instantly surrounded us. Soft lights. Low music playing somewhere in the background. The scent of vanilla candles filling the room. And somehow, it already felt intimate. Elena took off her coat, then walked toward the kitchen. "Red wine?" she asked. I nodded, still trying to steady my breathing. She poured 2 glasses and handed one to me. Our fingers touched again. And once again. That same electricity. We sat on the couch. Close. Maybe too close. But neither of us moved away. Instead, we talked. Really talked. About fears. Past heartbreaks. People who left. The walls we built to protect ourselves. The reasons we stopped trusting love. And for the first time in a long time, I felt understood. Elena looked at me quietly after one of my confessions. Her eyes softer than I'd ever seen them. "You hide behind your strength," she whispered. I looked down. "And you?" She smiled sadly. "I hide behind control." Silence. Then, I felt her fingers gently lifting my chin, making me look at her again. "You make me forget how to hide." My heart completely melted. And, before I could even respond, she kissed me. Softly. Slowly. The kind of kiss filled with emotion instead of urgency. One kiss turned into another. And another. Long kisses. Forehead touches. Fingers intertwined. Soft laughter between breaths. And in between every touch, more honesty. More confessions. More truth. Because sometimes, the most intimate thing two people can do is let themselves be completely seen. The room had gone completely quiet. Only the soft music in the background, and the sound of our breathing. Elena's forehead rested gently against mine while her fingers stayed intertwined with mine. Neither of us wanted to move. Neither of us wanted to break whatever this was becoming. Her thumb slowly brushed across my knuckles. "You know what scares me?" she whispered. I looked up at her. "What?" For the first time since I'd met her, Elena looked vulnerable. Not confident. Not teasing. Just real. She looked directly into my eyes. "You." My heartbeat instantly skipped. A small smile touched my lips. "Me?" She nodded slowly. "Because I've spent years convincing myself I don't need anyone." Her fingers moved softly through my hair. "And then you walked in." A pause. "And suddenly I want everything." God. The way she said that. It completely destroyed me. I moved closer without thinking. My fingers gently touched her face. "You're not the only one." Her eyes softened instantly. For a second, she just looked at me. Really looked at me. Like she was trying to memorize every detail. Then she pulled me into her arms. Warm. Safe. Perfect. We stayed like that for what felt like forever. Talking. Laughing softly. Sharing things we'd never told anyone else. Childhood memories. Old heartbreaks. Dreams we were scared to say out loud. And somewhere between all those confessions, the walls between us disappeared. Later, Elena pulled away slightly and looked at me with that same intense gaze. But this time, there was something softer behind it. Something deeper. Her fingers traced softly along my jawline. And then, she kissed me again. Slow. Lingering. The kind of kiss that made time feel irrelevant. When we finally pulled apart, she smiled softly and whispered, "Stay tonight." I looked into her eyes. And for the first time in my life, saying yes didn't scare me. It felt like home. Morning came quietly. Soft winter sunlight slipped through the curtains, painting golden lines across Elena's room. For a few seconds, I forgot where I was. Then I felt it. Warm fingers slowly moving through my hair. I opened my eyes. And there she was. Elena. Lying beside me. Watching me with that same intense gaze. Only this time, it felt softer. Warmer. More dangerous somehow. Because now, there were feelings attached. A small smile touched her lips. "Good morning." God. Even her morning voice was unfairly beautiful. I smiled sleepily. "How long have you been staring at me?" Her fingers traced softly along my cheek. A slow smirk appeared. Long enough to realize I'm in trouble. My heart instantly started racing again. I tried looking away, but Elena gently held my chin. "No." Her voice dropped lower. "Look at me." And I did. Because somehow, looking into her eyes had become my favorite weakness. She moved closer. Close enough for her breath to brush softly against my lips. "Do you know what you do to me?" she whispered. I shook my head. Her fingers slowly intertwined with mine on the bed. "You make me want things I stopped believing in." My chest tightened. Before I could answer, her lips met mine again. Soft. Slow. Morning kisses. The kind that aren't rushed. The kind that say stay. Her hand rested against my waist while I moved closer without even realizing it. And when we pulled apart, neither of us opened our eyes immediately. Because sometimes, certain moments feel too perfect to rush through. A few minutes later, We were standing together in the kitchen, barefoot, coffee in hand, snow still falling outside. Elena stood behind me, her arms wrapping gently around my waist, her chin resting lightly on my shoulder. And in that quiet moment, she whispered, "You have no idea how long I've wanted something like this." I turned slowly in her arms, looked into her eyes, and for the first time, I didn't feel scared. I smiled softly. Then maybe, I moved closer. "This is only the beginning." Elena smiled, that beautiful, dangerous smile, and pulled me even closer. That evening, the snow outside had started falling heavier again. Large white flakes covering the city lights, turning everything outside Elena's apartment into something straight out of a dream. Inside, everything felt warm. Too warm. I stood by the window, watching the snow fall, holding a mug of hot chocolate in my hands. Then I felt it. Elena's arms slowly wrapping around my waist from behind. My breath instantly caught. Her warmth pressed gently against my back. Her chin rested lightly on my shoulder. And for a few seconds, neither of us said anything. We just stood there, breathing, feeling, existing, together. Her fingers slowly intertwined with mine. "You get quiet when you're thinking," she whispered softly. I smiled. "And you always notice." She kissed the side of my temple gently. "I notice everything about you." God, that sentence alone nearly ruined me. I slowly turned in her arms until I was facing her. And there she was again. Those eyes. That impossible gaze. The kind that always made my heartbeat completely lose control. Her fingers moved gently through my hair. "Tell me what's going on in that head of yours." I looked into her eyes for a long moment, then finally whispered, "I'm scared." Her expression softened instantly. "Of me?" I shook my head slowly. "No." A pause. "Of how much you're starting to matter." For the first time, Elena looked speechless. Then her hands gently cupped my face. And the way she looked at me after that, it felt almost emotional, almost vulnerable. "You matter to me too." Her voice was barely above a whisper. She waited, always letting me choose, always making me feel safe. My fingers slowly moved into her hair, soft, warm. And when I finally pulled her closer, she smiled against my lips before kissing me. Slowly, deeply, tenderly. The kind of kiss that makes your chest ache in the best possible way. The kind that makes you forget what fear even feels like. When we finally pulled apart, both of us were smiling, both of us breathing harder. And then Elena whispered, "Stay with me this weekend." I looked into her eyes. And for the first time, instead of overthinking, instead of running, I smiled and whispered back, "Only if you promise to keep looking at me like that." Elena laughed softly, then pulled me into her arms again. And outside, the snowfall only got heavier. Weeks passed, then months. And somehow, not a single day with Elena ever felt ordinary. Every morning started the same way. Warm coffee, sleepy smiles, and her fingers finding mine before either of us said a word. The snowfall outside slowly became something familiar, like our own little tradition. Like winter itself had become part of our story. But even after all that time, she still looked at me the same way. That intense eye contact, that little smile, that look that always made my heart completely forget how to behave. Underscore 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 underscore. One evening, snow was falling heavier than usual. The city lights outside looked blurred beneath the white sky. Elena stood near the window wearing one of my oversized sweaters. And somehow, she'd never looked more beautiful. I couldn't stop staring. She noticed, of course. A small smile touched her lips. "Take a picture." I laughed softly. "I don't need a camera for this." She raised an eyebrow. "No?" I walked closer, slowly, until I was standing right in front of her, close enough to feel her warmth. close enough to hear her heartbeat. And then I whispered, "I already memorized you." For a second, Elena just stared at me, completely speechless. And for the first time since I'd known her, her eyes looked emotional, vulnerable, real. She reached for my hand and intertwined our fingers, then softly whispered, "You know what scares me now?" I smiled gently. "What?" She looked directly into my eyes. "Losing this." My chest tightened instantly, so I stepped even closer, placed my hand gently against her face, and whispered, "You won't." A single tear almost escaped her eyes, but she smiled instead. Then she leaned forward and kissed me. Slow, deep, full of everything we had been through. Every stolen glance, every late-night conversation, every fear, every confession, every moment that brought us here. When we finally pulled apart, foreheads touching, breathing unevenly, I whispered, "I think I stopped being afraid the moment I met you." Elena smiled softly, then pulled me into her arms tighter than ever before. And under the falling snow outside, in the warmth of our little world, we both realized, sometimes the right person doesn't just enter your life. They become your home. And from that night on, no matter how cold winter got, we never felt alone again.